Oh, what's going on, home slicers?
You might have noticed the schedule's changed.
I tried uploading videos once every Tuesday for, 2 months maybe? It just don't work, mate. It takes a village, and I am a man. The whole idea of trying to move to YouTube was to try and increase from short format to long format. But because of the time I've actually got to work on the car, none of the videos that I've wanted to be long format have actually been long format. They've just been a mildly longer version of short format. Therefore, I've not actually achieved what I set out to achieve, which was better long format videos. So what I've decided to do is try and upload once every 2 weeks on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock, which should, in theory, give me enough time to pull together enough footage to be able to make a video worth watching. And if that doesn't work, we just set all the cars on fire and call it a day. We'll probably not do that. But as far as the 190 goes, we are making some serious progress. I've got a minor electrical issue. It's not a major issue, but it's a little bit of an issue, where the bypass valve is opening to release pressure from the supercharger a little bit later than I want it to. I'm sending a signal through a DC motor driver, and to control that, I'm basically sending 2 analog pulses to this driver, which will then create 2 higher output pulses to control the motor. However, I'm having to control it at about 2000 Hz 50 duty cycle. So for an understanding of what 2000 Hz 50 duty cycle means, see your hertz of how many times the electrical signal is sent per second. So if I'm running at 10 Hz, it's going to send 10 pulses per second. If I'm running at 100 Hz, it's running 100 pulses per second. If I'm running at 1000 Hz, it's running 1000 pulses per second. Just because it's running these pulses at these increments doesn't mean it's on, off, 50-50. That's where your duty cycle comes in. Your duty cycle is effectively how long the pulse is on when it's triggered. So if we say it's 10 Hz per second, that's going to be 10 Hz, but I need to choose a duty cycle, because if I do 0 duty cycle, that is 0% on when it's on, which means it's not sending any signal. If I do 50%, it means 50% of the time it's on and 50% of the time it's off. So even though it's saying it's on, off 10 times, it's the exact same amount of time on as the time off. So if it was half a second on, half a second off. Naturally, it works the same the other way. If I went 100% duty cycle, there's no point in choosing Hertz because it's just constantly on. There is no off because it's 100%. Now, this way of controlling the bypass valve should work absolutely perfectly. However, it's just a little bit slow at the minute, and I don't really know why. So I'm trying to work that out, and while I cross them bridges, it's slowing down the getting ready to be tuned, because I want the car to be as close as possible before I take it to a man to tune it, because I want to be able to say to the man, here's a wiring diagram, here's a pin out, do me an AFR, a base table, an ignition table, and the car will run. And then at that point, it's going to be easier to work out how and when to activate or deactivate the supercharger. You feel me? You feel me? And naturally, if I don't solve these little things, it goes from being 1 day on the dyno to maybe 2 days on the dyno, which isn't ideal. I'm not made of money, man. And then another slight concern is that the exhaust on the car at the minute has got a 2-inch flow through it, and ideally I could do with 2.5 inch. So I need to get the exhaust done. So I've got bypass valve and exhaust to do before it goes for tuning. In theory, I could put it on the road now with a base map and just do some sort of like basic fuel tuning on the road and make it run safe and effectively overfuel. I know the ignition table's not too far out, it's just not perfect, which I want. I like perfect. Perfect costs money. So I've done the majority myself. I've saved thousands so far doing all of this work myself, but I'm gonna have to go and let a man make the exhaust right, and I need to let a man make the tune right, and that's fine, because I don't have a dyno, I can't TIG weld, I don't have a mandrel bender, I can only do so much. I've got the air working, I've got a slight leak on the tank. I think it's running through the reed valve. If you've dealt with Viair compressors, you know about the reed valve issues. A lot of people bin their Viair compressors because of reed valve issues, but it's just a tiny little valve. It shouldn't make too much difference, but it can pressurize the backside of the piston on the compressor and cause loads of issues. I'll do a video on the air system and how that works at some point in future. In the meantime, I spray painted the walls of my garage and bought a 100-year-old Vice. She's got the juice, man. This is where I take dreams to be crushed. I can see my lady in the kitchen.
That's the way, lass.
So yeah, things are Gucci. We're not down and out. We're just slowing things down a little bit so we can make longer, better, more interesting and watchable videos. I said, nice one, brother. Be right. Sin a bit.